It is time for another edition of Woodbine Racing Live for a Monday. Welcome one, welcome all to our little snow globe. It has been one of those months, folks, where we have been hit hard and often by the old snow. And not only that, frigid temperatures as well. And you look at the long-range forecast, it's not going to get warm anytime soon. So hopefully you are safe, nice and warm, and all set to enjoy our racing program for you this evening. As Chad mentioned, we did not have a program on Sunday because of the big storm yesterday, so I feel like we're kind of coming off a bit of a layoff here today. But one guy off the bench that's pretty good is the Hall of Famer, that being Randy Waples. Let's bring in the Hall of Famer right now. I visited Randy actually on Saturday. I visited your friend Sandpail in the Hall of Fame. I visited you as well in the Hall of Fame too. The one thing that I find rather unique about the program today, Mr. Waples, is 8 of the 10 on the trot. You don't see that all that often.
No, you don't. There are a couple of things that I find interesting. First, your report card said Brat Jeff.
Yes,
Yes,
it
it
did.
did. That's right.
2 T's, though.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. And number two, how about this first race? How the times have changed. From my time, your time when you started in this business and that to the way it is now. Here's a first race, maiden trot. There's 3 horses that won't be wearing trotting hobbles and 7 horses that will be. Now, years ago, you'd have been lucky to see one in this field with trotting hobbles on, and it's just things have changed. And it's funny because Garfield Gas, old school, Reg Gassian, no trotting hobbles. Happy Angel, this one's trained and owned by a blacksmith, no trotting hobbles on this one either. And then Green Goose on the outside, Matt Bax, I don't even know if they have a set of trotting hobbles in their entire barn. So, interesting that only those 3, and the things have changed, that only those 3 are the ones that don't have to wear the pants.
Do you know any off the top of your head that are free-legged pacers around this part anymore?
Yeah, the one that is racing tonight there used to be free-legged. I don't know if he still is, Tour Champion. He used to be. And then the other horse that raced the other night there, he used to be free-legged too. All bets on Tex. And then he's not either. There's still a few of them around. What race would that horse be in there, I wonder?
You don't see that all that often, though, anymore, do you?
No, not like you used to, for sure. Yeah. I qualified. The first horse that I qualified had to go a rated mile for my license was a free-legged horse. His name was Roan Barron. Looked after by the lovely Patty Drury, as a matter of fact. But he was the first horse that I qualified for my license, and he was free-legged. My father said to me, "Tell the judges you're going to go an even mile in 2:25." He says, "And when you turn Barney," that was his nickname, Barney. "When you turn him, just drop the lines, and he'll do it." Okay, so I did. I just dropped the lines, and he went a perfect mile in 2:25.
Oh, beautiful! That's
Isn't
a
it?
true veteran.
That's a true
when
veteran.
they know what to do there. We're not going to have veterans when it comes to the Mohawk Million coming up a little bit later on this season, but the good news is the Mohawk Million is going to be back. There is some changes in terms of payments for it. It's going to cost $60,000 per slot as opposed to $50,000. And there's all kinds of information on the Woodbine website, Woodbine Mohawk Park website, if you want to find out more details about, how many owners can have in a race and all that stuff. And as per usual, you can email Bill McClinchy if you have any questions. But the first payment is due on February the 17th. The race itself goes on September the 26th. I got to give Woodbine Mohawk Park a lot of credit because when this first was introduced, I wasn't sure exactly how it was going to go because you have races on the thoroughbred side of things, like the Pegasus was originally a race where you had to buy a slot. Now that has changed a little bit, but it seems like the popularity for this, you get a lot more people buying slots than just 10, Yeah. So, and a lot of people will lease their slots or sell their slots, as a matter of fact.
That's the big thing. It's almost like there's 2 aspects of it. The actual race and then the lead up of the bantering around to see who's going to get the spots, who's going to buy the spots, that way too. But I agree with you. It's really rare for a race to come out, and so this race would be about 4 years old now, maybe?
Yeah, 4 or 5 years old,
4 or 5 years old, and have instant credibility, like a classic kind of a race. And part of that, I think, alludes to not only just that it's so interesting, the jostling for spots, but the big thing I think that also kind of alluded to it was the year that TCI won it.
Yeah,
made
recovery,
a break, then comes back and wins the race, going for $1 million. There's nobody that could have. You couldn't have wrote a movie script any better than that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think that made the race very, very exciting. And, that excitement has just carried on. It's one of the few races that I think had instant credibility right from the very beginning. And I agree with you.
Yeah.
Big applause to Woodbine for pulling this off.
Yeah, it was a very unique thing when it first came out, but it's definitely one of the more popular races that we have here on the circuit
I look
now.
forward to
Yeah,
it.
it's great. And then, what's cool is development, because you have the Wellwood, and then you have that race as well, and then obviously the Breeders' Crown and stuff like that too. Now, because we weren't able to race yesterday, our recap's going to take you back to Saturday's card of racing here, and I was looking at the results, and the one thing that continues is Osceola continues to roll, and the Cullen Barn continues to roll as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both of them having really, really big nights. Their horses are just on spot right now. So what did we ended up
So
having
Cullen had
there?
3, James had 3. Now the snowshoe got a little bit diluted because of some scratches,
Right.
unfortunately. But Jackpot High Five carryover is $86,000 plus. But Brew Hanover won the feature, and that actually was a fantastic finish in that race.
Yeah, that for sure. It was a real, real good finish. First half was a little slow for my liking,
Yeah.
but the rest of it was pretty good.
Welcome to the preferreds. But the finish was fantastic here, and obviously, when Brew's good, he's one of the best.
Yeah.
And it was actually right around this time last year he got really, really good.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
think that he's one of those horses. He's kind of a big fella, and I think he needs that 7 day before he really starts to get the lungs filled. And he's good right again, but boy, oh boy, they weren't making it easy for him. Off a half in 58, when you
Yeah.
turn it into a sprint, guess what? At this level, they can all
I know.
sprint. And he almost got, he almost got caught on off that half, I would say, but he didn't. He got the job done. The horse is back good again. Nice finish in there. And again, with the way that the Cullen Barn is racing, in the snowshoe, I honestly look at his RB Tenacious T has stamped himself as I'm the one to beat. There's everybody else, then there's him.
Yeah, meanwhile, I don't think it's as clear cut in the snowshoe.
No.
I think that's a little bit more up for grabs, so we'll have a little bit more on that. The snowshoe and the Blizzard series, obviously staples that we have around these parts, and we'll have more on that coming up in the not-too-distant future. That's a recap of what took place on the Saturday program right here at Woodbine. Let's take a look at some stats and standings. Obviously, the numbers aren't going to be as big because we lost one day of racing, but we'll find out who's got a bit of a hot hand. I'll tell you what a hot hand on Saturday was this guy to my left. You had a great night with your handicapping, Randy. Well done to you. And hopefully our stats and standings can provide those individuals, some more motivation to keep on going. And guess who makes it on the board? My man, J.R. Plant, makes it onto the board. 5 for 30. But I bet you his ROI is pretty good. But Travis right there, Dougie right there, and James right there as well. I think James, he's not been as dominant so far this winter, but he took a vacation. He's going to heat up here. Like in the he's going to win like 15 races in a week in the not-too-distant future, I think, James.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is this time of the year there, James has no real stable to drive for.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no one single. When you got like in my time there, you had Hoffman or you had Robinson or you had McIntosh, and he was bringing back all them 3-year-olds and starting
Yeah.
them. Wintertime, you could win a lot of races.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that. He more or less just kind of floats around, you know what I mean? And when it comes summertime, when the stake races start up, every stable wants James McDonald. You know what I mean? So this time of the year, I'm not surprised that, his win percentage, 13%, as opposed to Travis, who's got his own barn. Dougie McNair, his dad's barn, is always really powerful. They got high win percentages. James just kind of toiling around down there, but trust me, he's getting close to being done, but it ain't going to be this year.
Well, I'll tell you how good James is going. James is going so good right now that he continues to be invited to world events, and that does continue. I was just reading this on Standard Break Canada as we take a look at some trainer stats as well. And, whenever you got a guy like James who represents his country so well, he's going to be high in demand. And these trainers are going to be high in demand as well. Now, Maneri could have a good night tonight. Osceola could have a good night tonight as well. But it seems like Jody Cullen's always on this board.
Yeah, she really ended last year on a high note and started this year on a high note as well. And the swell just keeps going forward. But and I mean, what a week she's had. She's won 30% of her races. But then you move a little bit to the right. Look at the number Maneri popped up there.
Yeah.
54.5% winning.
Crazy.
I mean, come on, Jeff. You've been playing a long time. A trainer's going to give you a week where he's won half of his starts, over half of his starts.
That's unprecedented. It just doesn't happen. But just to get back to James, so James is going so good right now. He gets invited to all these driver challenges, and he's going to be in another driver challenge. It's called the Ladbrokes Ultimate Driver Championship, taking place next month in Albion Park, Brisbane, Australia. Now, I think James needs some chaperones, so I think you and I should go and take care of James. What do you think about that idea, my friend? Have you ever been to Australia?
No, I haven't been there. I got a feeling James would absolutely love to travel around with Jeff Bratt. Not so sure if he's really going to want to be traveling with Randy there. Randy could end up getting James painting fence over in Australia or something by the time it's all said and done. But really nice to see that they invited him. It looks like he's representing Summit Bloodstock, I would guess, from over there. And the Burke Brigade, it's nice that the Burke Brigade reached up here, up north of the border to grab a driver, to represent them. And I think good choice, just like you said, it's not just what he does on the track, it's the way he conducts himself off the track as well. Trust me, I could have took a lot of lessons from this guy. Anyway.
I was reading an old article that you wrote, or that you were the subject of. I think it was Dan Fisher that wrote it in Trot Magazine. It was a couple years old. I don't know why it was in my office for some reason, but I was reading it the other day. And you spoke about how guys like Paul McDonnell represented themselves as such classy individuals. And you were joking with yourself saying, I probably could have learned a couple of things from those guys.
It's the truth. My biggest thing was, and in a couple of my interviews where I've even said it there, my big thing is I'm going to be Randy. And that's the way I'm going to be. And I know that politically it's not the smartest move. And I know I can annoy a lot of people, but you know what you're getting. And that's all I care about. You know what you're getting. If you like me, you like me. And if you don't, you don't. I would have loved to have been the Paul McDonnell or a James McDonald, a John Campbell, those kinds of guys, but it just wasn't in me. And I couldn't live up to that. So I was just Randy.
Well, the unique thing was the story in this, and this article is an old article, but Randy actually changed his driver's colors to be on the score, and that didn't go over very well, unfortunately. But that's why there's two different silks, or not silks, but colors that Randy had during his career. But I don't think you give yourself enough credit. You do a fantastic job. But you have to keep the hot hand going handicapping-wise, my friend, and we'll get down to business for race number 1 on the program. That starts off the Pick 5 pool, be guaranteed here today at $75,000 here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. We have a field of 10, and surprise, surprise, this is a trot in here. Now, the one thing that I do, as soon as I come into Woodbine Mohawk Park, is I go to the control room, and they have an old monitor that has the VGS odds on them. Remember, like at Greenwood?
Oh,
Used to have the old, it's like a Commodore 64, you know? And I always like to see who's taking the early money. And this Royal Flush Deo was taking early money and continues to take early support right now at odds of 3-2. Now, what was it about the qualifier that you liked? Because this was one that obviously showed some ability as a 2-year-old. And then I think the connection said, you know what? Let's put him away, and we'll bring him back as a 3-year-old.
I think that was one of the biggest selling points to me, is the fact that he's a $100,000 Walner that was shut down early. I like when 3-year-olds come back after they've had very little done to them as 2-year-olds. I think that this guy's going to set himself up for a big year. So let's take a look at the qualifier. Remember out there, James McDonald doesn't exactly have rockets tied to these things in the morning. You know what I mean? You kind of got to read between the lines. He doesn't overdo it, and I mean, again, it just takes me back to a different era. The Steve Condrens and the Bill Gales and the Doug Browns, they just would never overdo it in the morning. And I guess that's where I kind of picked it up as well. And I just like the fact that that's the route that James goes. He's not the only one, but he's definitely one of the ones that seems to have brought it to a whole new art. At this point, all that talking that Randy's done, and James's shoulders hasn't moved one bit. Talk about muscling a horse up on somebody's back to get him confident. Here he is, kind of a big horse, looks good here. I'd love to see him get a little bit, crazy on this run out, but again, McDonald's just a little bit too crafty for that. Now, he does let him trot a little bit there, but it's not going to be enough that we're going to see. I liked what I saw. Again, I talked to earlier on, he's going to be one of the ones wearing the trotting hobbles tonight. I like that about him as well. That's one thing that we don't really got to worry about. And he's got middle of the gate to deal with. I like that as well. So Royal Flush Deo is the way that I'm going to go. But Green Grass Grows, I'm going to throw this one in for second. I think that Tyler Jones is picking himself up a very live drive. I think Travis Henry has brought this guy along very, very slowly. But unfortunately for Travis Henry, he's got his own horse in post 9. She's got tricks. This is a Henry horse too, so he's going to be forced to drive this one, turning over what I consider to be a very, very live drive to Tyler Jones.
I thought Satu Wanya was sneaky good last time out. I just don't love the fact now we've missed a week. You know, unfortunately, the horse was good to go, I thought, in that last start when scheduled to compete, but unfortunately had to be scratched due to weather. Might need one, I think, next time out for Satu Wanya, but I'll take a shot, as Randy will, with Royal Flush Dale. You ever get a Royal Flush playing poker, my man?
One time.
Wow.
One time, but I think I've had maybe 6 times I've had quads.
Wow.
Yeah, always
I
at the
don't know.
casino too.
You know, wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
You know what is the hand of death to me are pocket aces. I never win with pocket
it's hard.
aces.
You know, sometimes you know you're almost better just forcing through to take the blinds and move on.
Yeah.
Because they can either make you a lot or they can make you killed.
Or the flop's a total disaster for me. Race number 3 will be on the trot as well. Third race, we scratched the 6 Southwind Mac. I was really interested with that horse tonight. And we also scratched number 9, that being Southview Abraham. I don't really have a strong opinion in this race, to be honest with you. Now, Bayerjean's got 2 in here. They were both scheduled to compete on January the 19th. And Randy and I have this a fictional barn of trainers that we don't worry about coming off of layoffs. Is Ben Bayerjean in that outfit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, the double B. Yeah, he's definitely on that. When his horses are in to go, they're live.
Okay.
They might need education. He can't do anything about that in the morning. But
Right.
when it comes to fitness, yeah, this is one thing that this guy, you know, he's a genius when it comes to driving driving horses. He's a genius when it comes to training horses. I really, truly do believe that. He's a very special kind of a man. And if his career keeps going the way that he does, and he happens to hit that one home run, I could see Benoit Bergeron taking his place in the Canadian Horse Racing Hall of Fame. So here is a 2-part replay that we're going to show you on this guy. Now, this is going to be Charlie Cheeks. He's going to be my top pick in this race. Now, he had the 2-hole his last down January 12th, missed on the 19th because of weather, but so 2 down. He has the 2-hole. He gets away really cozy in the 3-hole. You can see him right there. Okay, we can roll this, Javon. Now he's going to make a move, but unfortunately for Louis, this isn't going to work. Jody just rolls to the front. Louis moves, you know, looking for that quarter pole remove, but guess what? Jody didn't get the memo, and he keeps sailing out there, and Louis is now in a land of hurt out there with Charlie Cheeks. He's got nowhere to go. He can't really retreat. He can't really press forward because Jody's going really, really quick. Now, what's going to happen here is that Jody is going to release him. Again, going back to that generation, I think to myself, if that was Doug Brown or my dad or Ronnie Fagan up on top, would Louis get released here? No. But anyway, he does get released here. It doesn't really bother Jody. Bert makes a break. Jody's going to be able to get back out and do what he wants, you know, so it probably was the right move, but I'm just saying generation-wise, it wouldn't have happened in my generation. He'd have been stuck out there. He still looks good here, and he's going to look good till, you know, about 3/4 of the way down the lane. You can see him right here. Everything is good. He trots a middle half in 58 seconds on a night where they were given, they weren't given any seconds that night, but it was a cold, cold night. Still on top here. Now Jody's vacated the deuce. Here he comes. Dougie makes a break, but Louis still not too bad here. He's still sticking around, but now he starts to collapse. But look at Louis' body language. He's not emptying him right out. He knows that it just wasn't a trip that's going to work out for him. He's going to get beat, finish 5th, but he's only going to get beat probably, I'm going to say, about 5.5, 6 lengths. They got him down as charted as 6 3/4, so around that area or whatever. I just think that Charlie Cheeks' race was in the middle half of the race. And I think that he can come back with a little bit of time off and come up with a better effort. So Charlie Cheeks is going to be Waple's watch.
Let me be devil's advocate.
Yes.
1 for 22 lifetime.
Yeah, but recently coming into the Bergeron barn, of those 22 starts, I would say probably we're showing maybe 4 there now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 starts. I'm going to say the very most he's had in Benoit's barn is 8.
Okay.
Tops. And, you know, there was an addition of Lasix after a bit. He started off without the hobbles and went back to the hobbles. It seems to me like they're kind of tinkering with them a little bit, but I think that they have him on good right now. And there's no way that Louis makes that move unless he thinks that that horse is good. He made that move wanting the front, thinking that he's going to race him that way, and it just didn't work out, but he didn't overdo it. I think he could come back with a little bit better of a trip and make some noise in here. So Charlie Cheeks is the way I'm going to go.
I'll scratch on to Benito Boy, but I think he needs some help. He's going to need a bit of a setup. Comes out of that replay that you just showed us when finishing second from way off the pace, just like Charlie Cheeks was setting the pace on that day. I think Benito Boy was the benefactor of that pace being set in that most recent tilt. So let's look at race number 3 on the program. Let's get to race number 5 now, as this will wrap up the first pick 5 of the day, and we have 10 that will line up behind the gate for this one. And Chick Chalk Rose, Dave Maneri is going to send out this one. The problem with the Maneri horses right now, Randy, is, and it's we've seen it for a long time now, is they just get overbet.
Oh, you can't, yeah. Other than playing them in gimmicks,
yeah,
it's hard to get paid.
Like, when do you see a Maneri horse pay $20?
Yeah,
very, very rarely, unless they're beating their stablemate. Then the least preferred of the two will get up to win it, but. I thought that was a bit of a tough journey for this horse last time.
Whoa, yeah, for sure. Real tough journey in her last. You know what I mean? Things were kind of really going according to oil. In up till then. But she didn't get killed by it. She is going to take a slight little move up on her claimant tag. She was in the optional 60. Now it says optional 80 in there. More or less, I think pretty well the same bunch of horses, same kind of a class. She was racing for 22,000. Now she races for 24. So you could look at it as a little bit of a jump up. I think that everything was good to go until last week. It just didn't work out for her. She's going to come back with the middle of the gate, going to pick up James McDonald, who was racing real good for her. And again, Maneri's barn has been big time good. So I'm going to go back to Chick Chalk Rose.
The question mark for me is Supersonic Hanover, who got the win via dead heats, 2 starts go, and then on a really snowy night last week, pretty much looked like, Cam Fella or Sam Palace, I'll use a trotter, just absolutely annihilated that group. Has Blair figured something out with this horse potentially?
I think that Blair Burgess, and we're going to see this with a lot of his horses, the longer that a horse stays in Blair's barn, usually the better they get, if there's any talent that's coming with them. I mean,
right.
He's not Dr. Doolittle, you know what I mean? Like, he can't make chicken salad out of chicken waste, you know what I mean? But if you give him a horse that's got ability, look out. This guy is unreal. He probably one of the smartest individuals I've ever met in my life, and really one of the smartest trainers I've ever met in my life. And sometimes I think that that's his only weakness, is he's too smart. He overthinks a lot of stuff, you know what I mean? But boy, when he is able to hit on a horse, look out. This guy is in the Hall of Fame on both sides of the border for a reason. He is special kind of a trainer. So Supersonic Hanover, I got him in for 3rd, really on a big time roll right now. And he's really about the only one that's been consistently in this non-winners of 3 class that he's going to keep coming back to. But Chick Chalk Rose, I think that with the addition of McDonald, even with a little bit of a stale date, the missing the week, I think that she can come back off the right kind of trip and capitalize.
6th race on the program is going to come up next. This is a trot for 5-year-olds and younger, non-winners of 1 race. Now, I love when horses make massive recoveries, and I thought that Acrobatic last time out, I've never seen a horse race as well and lose by 15 lengths. That's what happened last time. And I mean, the winner was so good on that day, but Acrobatic, that was a massive recovery for this horse.
Yeah. And I mean, and again, in this day and age, it makes a break behind the gate, coming off the qualifier. Where's the trotting hobbles? Oh, right, it's the Matt Back stable, and we don't own them. You know what I mean? I like that about the Baxes. You know what I mean? They're old school, and I enjoy that about them. So no pants for this guy that we know of anyway, and I got him in for 2nd. I'm just a little bit scared of with that break, and especially coming out of the 4-hole and now right back to the 4-hole. Call me superstitious, but I went looking. I'm going to go Kinder Ice Cube for Tyler Moore. I thought that this one raced really good 2 starts ago from the 9-hole, and I thought this one raced even better in its last start from the 7-hole. picks up the 2-hole in here tonight. I think he's a really, really must play in the opening of this late pick 5. But one that's I find a little bit interesting too is this D.A. Merlot. Now, I had her up pretty substantial. I don't think I had her up on, no, I had Maggie's Touch on top, but I was using her probably in for second or third. I've been paying close attention to her. You're going to look at that line and you're going to say, whoa, did she ever race bad? I'm not 100% sure if she raced bad. Here's my thoughts on it. I'm going to throw her back in for third. I think what happened was we had that really snowy track. She's a big filly, and they were given 3 seconds. I think she was hitting the bike. That's why I think that he had no choice but to just let her roll along on the front end. I think she was slipping a little bit. She's big. She was probably coming back and striking the race bike, which drives her on. Horses don't like that. It scares them. Drives her on. And if he takes too much of a hold of her on that slippery track, she's going to be on the run. He could only do what he did. That's just what I'm thinking. I never talked to Tyler. That's just from watching the race. So I like her back in here. And before that last race, I think she was trending to a win. So I think she's dangerous in this race.
You've been following this horse for a long time because you actually talked us into using this horse in the pick 5 last week.
There you go.
Wasn't able to deliver, but we got the win, but it was the favorite that got the win for us on that night. But I know that you've been chasing that horse for a long, long time. Let's see if D.A. Merlot was able to deliver. In the 7th race, we scratched number 1, that being Seize the Bay, which means we're down to a field of 9, and they're going for a purse of $12,000. A condition claimer here coming up in this spot. In this 7th race, you've gone towards Smiles for Miles. So let's talk about your horse first of all, then I'll get to my selection here. This barn's due. You and I touched on this with the Chantal Mitchell outfit last week. They're racing well, but a bit frustrating. They haven't been able to put the puck in the net as of yet.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it, Jeff. You haven't been able, but I mean, you know, it's 0 for 12, but how about the 7 seconds and thirds, you know? I mean, she's off to a decent year. She's training at a 268, but she just needs some wins, you know, and hopefully this is the first one to do. So we're going to show you a 2-part replay in here. So Smile for Miles on this nasty January 19th race, snowy track. They're giving the track 3 seconds. He's not an overly big horse. Now, right here, we can see him come out of there. I think at this point, JR gets beat to the punch. You know what I mean? His momentum is not bringing him forward. He wants to go forward, but the rest of them are out of there quicker. His momentum is not taking him where he wants to go, and now he's got to grab him up hard, and I mean hard. Yeah. Now he's going, and that again shows you the ability of JR. It's not working. Go to Plan B quickly, and he did. Now we're going to go to the head of the lane, just past the quarter. Now he's sitting good. He's sitting in a good spot. Now look at him here. He's going to take a shuffle out the back, but he's still, look at the shoulders on JR Plant. He has not asked this horse to do anything. All that's happened though is that everybody's moved to the outside. He gets moved to the back. So now again, he's in a kind of a bad sort of a trip. Now JR at this point, he has done nothing really wrong. It's just that nothing has worked out. Now he's in a blind switch again with this horse. Nowhere to go. He's only tapped him the one time. At this point, you would have to think the little guy like this that grabbed gut, nothing's worked out for him, would call it off. But he doesn't call it off. He still keeps coming forward. Look at this. He moves forward, ends up finishing 5th in there. Little wee guy like that, I think that if he gets a cleaner trip, it's going to be a better result. Now, at one time, there was 2 horses in this class that I would play religiously. Wicked Express, Smiles for Miles.
Yeah.
Wicked Express had the good date. He was my top pick. Smiles for Miles had the better date. He was my top pick. There's no more Wicked Express in here. I think that Smiles for Miles, for whatever reason, has kind of gotten forgotten a little bit, and I'm going to put him up on top.
Great replay in there. I'm taking a shot with this Make Me a Legend for the Dupuis outfits. You know, probably needed that most recent race, and I thought was raced with that kind of a mind saying, you know what, we don't want to go to the bottom of the well first time off the bench. But I think it served its needs for tonight. Got that tightener, and I'm hoping that we get a bit of a better result.
I got asked in the broadcast back there the one time there if anybody knew if the band Max Webster, and nobody knew it. Do you remember that name?
Webster.
You don't remember that? Do you remember a singer named Kim Mitchell?
Yes, of course.
Well,
Patio Lanterns.
He was the singer of Max Webster. Yeah.
Patio Lanterns.
Yes. Max Webster.
Before we get to race number 9, just want to let everybody know that we've got another scratch in the 8th race to pass along. I'm having nightmares of the last show we did where I was getting scratches every 2 seconds.
Yes.
Stonebridge Bomber, the 9, is now out of race number 8. So in the 8th race, you can scratch the 1, Deborah, and you can also scratch number 9, that being Stonebridge Bomber. I played with this defenseman once in my house league. Guy was like, You know, like when you're a kid, you're playing, sometimes kids are like a foot and a half taller than you.
Yeah.
We call him the bomber. This guy would body check guys that would go out the arena. That's how hard he hit them. That's whenever I see that, just makes me think of that. Race of the night, I am saying it right now, is race 9.
Guaranteed. You're 100%.
This is going to be some race. And the question that I wanted to ask you in here, because when I was handicapping this race, this is how I looked at it. Do you go with one of these horses that has got back class, like a Quebec Hanover, it's got a ton of money on his card? Do you go to a Pemberton? Or do you go towards like a Vera Cruz, who's really, really good right now? And Devil's Arch, 2 starts ago, was able to have some success as well. Like, do you go towards the hot hand? Or do you go with one that's got back class, who remembers beating tougher in their heyday? That's the question I had to ask myself when doing my handicapping.
This is a tough race.
It is.
I mean, you know, if you can work it into your singles, I would strongly recommend your multis. I would strongly recommend looking at this one as an all.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, you can go so many different ways, but I'm going to go Devil's Arch with this one. And the big reason why is twice in his last 3 starts, he's drew the rail, and look where he gets away. Rail 3 down, he gets away 7th. Rail in his last, gets away 6th in there. But still comes up with what I consider to be a good effort, and now he is not going to have to race from the rail in here. He's going to have, you know, the middle of the gate, where between the two rails, he had a 4, where he ends up winning that one. After that, before the rails started to come up, he had a 4, he won that. Before that, a 5, he won that. Now he's got the 5 again in here tonight. I think he can get away in a better spot. JR, again, getting stuck out the back with this guy because the rail is just not conducive for Devil's Arch to get out of there. Then you put him in a class like he's racing in right now, you know, this non-winners of 15,000, you know, tough bunch in here. Optional 70 claimer tag on it, but still, look at Devil's Arch come on the outside for JR Plant. I don't think that the horse wasn't live. I just think that he was in a bit of a bad position, and I think that he could have, you know, gained up even more on him at that point, but JR knew he was going to be 4th, and he laid off, and that is the other reason why I like him, is that he didn't go to the bottom of the well last week. So Devil's Arch is where I'm going to go, hoping that James is going to maybe come out of there with Pemberton a little bit. But the big one that I'm hoping that comes out of there, and I didn't use him, and he's the tricky one to me, is the 7 horse, Manoa. If he comes out of there on the chop, I am really, really hoping that JR Plant's going to stick real close to Travis Henry.
So I'm going towards the hot horse in this race. The one thing that worries me a little bit is something that you just touched on. This horse has been hard to use now in back-to-back races, Vera Cruz. So I just hope he's got another one in him in here today. He is a pretty reliable type. I don't know if he's ever been as consistently good as he is right now, but I'm going to take a shot with that one. I wanted to pick Pemberton just because I think back class he wins the race, but
and he's got James.
You know, he's dropping from the open.
Yes. And he's got a walker beside his name.
I know.
It's a trotting horse.
And I'm terrified of both Bayerjean horses, Quebec Hanover and Ghostly
How
Casper.
can you not? McNair's picking up Ghostly Casper because Tyler Boris got to stick with Johnny Buckshot.
Yep.
And then Quebec Hanover. I mean, Louis was one of the few guys that can get this guy to howl off the wings. You know what I mean? And he's back on him for a second try. You know, this is a tough race.
It is tough. It's great. Love it. Race number 10, Jackpot High Five Finale. Carryover is now at $86,000 plus. We have 10 that you can look at here coming up in this race. And so one thing that Randy and I like to do is we just talk about horses that we like during when Randy first walks in and stuff like that. And I tell him horses I like and stuff like that. The one thing that that made me feel better is I loved Daffy Hanover last week, and she was not good.
No.
She had a bad day at the office. Now, that was that miserable night, and I just don't know how happy she was on that night. I'm hoping we get the real Daffy tonight.
I think that that's all it boiled down to. You know, it was just a bad night that she had to race on that crappy track. It's good. Things will be better for her. But the other thing is, too, is, I mean, she moved up and, you know, she's been doing really well in the non-winners of 2. Then she was in the non-winners of 3 on January the 5th, and it was a good effort, but not a winning effort. You know, she finished 5th in there, you know, got beat 2 1/4, but then comes back to the non-winners of 2 and annihilates that field by 5 1/4 length, and then moves back to the non-winners of 3, gets a bad track. You know, maybe the half in 58 was just a bit much. If they go to the half in 58, they go a mile in 58. They come back half in a minute. So 58 sounds to me like just a bit much on a track that they were given 3 seconds. Dougie comes back with her. She's going to stay with the non-winners of 3, but last week it was non-winners of 3 or 65,000. The other time she was in non-winners of 3, it was non-winners of 3 or 72,000. This week, it's non-winners of 3 or 40,000. I think that this is an easier group than what she's had to race in her first 2 starts in non-winners of 3. So I'm just hoping a lot of things go the Daffers' way.
Maggie's Touch could not have looked any better off the bench for the Pinkerton outfits. It wins by 16 lengths. I just don't know what was in behind. We're going to see some of those horses coming up a little bit earlier on. Do you think the horse could repeat here with the move up in class, or do you think it's just a whole different ball game now? Like we're going from AA ball to AAA ball. Like things are going to be a lot tougher for the horse here tonight.
I could see her moving up, and I mean, she is a 5-year-old, you know what I mean? So she's got some age to her, you know, that way. But I could see her if things go her way, her maybe making a win. But I think I would be surprised.
Okay.
I think that this is a far deeper group than what she had to face in her last. As good as she looked in her last, and she did, it's going to be different. I mean, she doesn't have the 3 holes. She's not going to saunter out of there, land in the deuce, going a quarter and 30 and 2. She's going to have to work for it a lot more this week, and the answer's going to have to work a lot harder at it this week as well.
Yeah, and I feel bad for Scott because he usually drives Validus as well, you know, and it's not all that often he gets 2 in the same race. He has to pick one of them, right?
And he's done such a good job in his last couple of starts with Validus, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously Scotty likes Maggie a little better.
Let's take a look at some plays of the day. We've got some tickets as well that we're going to take a look at too. The early pick 5. I'm going to take a shot on my personal ticket that I'm going to play. I'm going to key the 4 because I had to find a key somewhere. You were unable to find a key, and frankly, I don't blame you because it is tricky to say I distinctly like this horse the most of anybody. So you're going to go 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 3.
Yeah, it's a $48 ticket for $1. But I mean, listen, there's horses that I think if a person really, really liked them, they could key them because some of them I really like too, but just not enough to pull that trigger.
Yep.
So Royal Flush Deo, obviously my top pick in there. Going to back that one up with Green Grass Grows. In race number 2, my top pick is going to be Crown Monarch. Going to back that one up with Maid of Magic, who I had up on top in its last start there. In race number 3, Charlie Cheeks, we showed you that replay. Going to go with Checkmaster on this one. Had him on top in his last start. Boy, oh boy, you don't often see a horse go off as the favorite and paying at 3 to 1, but we did get a little lucky there. Race number 4, staying with the 2 deep, top pick Hakatimatonga and Volcanic in there. And then in race number 5, I'm going to go Supersonic, Hanover, Chick Chuck Rose, and Flash Chap in on the bottom. And that's the way I'm going to do it, Mr. Bratt.
When I was putting together my late pick 5 tickets, I could have spent $350 in here, and I said, Jeff, you got to put the brakes on in here because I'm going for the what I call the home run ticket. Very inexpensive ticket where I'm just trying to get it. And if I lose, I only lose $12. So I'm going to use Kinder Ice Cube and Acrobatic. I think they're kind of the 2 obvious ones there in that race. 7th race, got the 5, 6, and the 10. Top pick in there is Make Me a Legend, but I got Your Smiles for Miles, and I got Belmont Blazer as well. Here's where I'm on a limb. 8th race, I've got Dahlquist Hanover. I just think the drop and pop could be in effect for that one. Last time this horse was in this class, crushed. I'm going to use Veracruz, and I'll wrap it up in the 10th race with a Daffy Hanover and Maggie's Touch. But that's...
You'd be surprised how close our back pick 5 is.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you'd be shocked there because I found quite a few singles too. I mean, that's the difference, you know, how you can look at the back pick 5 and say that you could spend $300, and on the back pick 5, I think I spent $30.
Well, it's the 9th race that worries me.
Yeah, the 9th is a stinker. There's no doubt about that. What I did was I went 3 deep in race number 6 and then went single city. I singled Smile for Miles in the 7th.
Okay.
I singled All Gas No Brakes in the 8th. I singled Devil's Arch in the 9th, and then I hit the all button in race number 10. I bratted it in race number 10, my friend.
Love it. Just give you a nice night, a one-shot to wrap up.
There you go.
Plays of the night, we have some of those that you want to gravitate towards, hopefully, and I think all 4 of ours are intact. So Randy's got 4, I have 4 as well. Let's see where Randy's going to go to start off. He's going to come up in race number 2.
Yeah, Crown Monarch is going to be my beat the favorite in there. Race number 3, Charlie Cheeks is going to be Waple's Watch. I think that, you know, things just didn't work out for him in that last trip. Then in race number 7, it's going to be Smiles for Miles is my all-in, Jeff. All in on Mr.
It's
Smiles.
a good replay. It's
it
a
is
sneaky
a decent
line.
Yeah, nice little replay.
Yeah.
And worth a look is going to be Devil's Arch. I know he's in tough in that 9th race, but with the middle of the gate, not having anything overdone last week, I think he can get a good trip and maybe come up with a good one.
Qualifying report is giving me my first horse of the night, that being Royal Flush Deo. My best bet is going to be Like Chaos. I hope Like Chaos just explodes explodes off the wings of the gate and tries to cut the mile. I've got Acrobatic as my watch lister, and my drop and pop is Dahlquist Hanover coming up.
And what do you want him to do?
Same thing. Just go right to the front.
Brat's looking to bring Walter Case Jr. in tonight for all of
Where's
his
the
picks.
gas man? Need the gas man. Reg Gas. Yeah, that'll help me out a little bit. So what do we got for our good friends like Mr. Barnsdale, Ghislaine, and Kevin Plowcha? So Kevin's with me with Dahlquist. All gas, no brakes. That's one that you like tonight, Randy. Filmon Blazer, I think Garnet gets not a bad number with that horse because of the draw tonight, post position number 10.
Yeah, I think he's going to get a better number than what he normally would.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have a scratch of the
So
1 in
9
there.
now, yeah.
There's nobody really that's going to make a big case for himself. You like the 5, I like the 6, and James McDonald for the first time is going to pick up Hasselhoff. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Look at who he's been racing against.
Yeah, very, very true.
Yeah,
Very
big
true.
drop down and picks up the circuit's leading. Sorry, the circuit's second or third leading driver right now. I got to get used to not saying that because I think right now,
Multiple O'Brien award-winning driver.
right, Travis Cullen up
Yep.
on top right
It
now,
is.
and I'm not going to look to steal any of his glory. Hopefully, with any luck at all, in another month or so, James will be the leading driver in Australia too, over at the championship.
That's right.
Drivers competition.
Can we get a live shot of the current conditions of producer Javon? Because I think I see the S word developing yet again. I think it's snowing again.
no.
I think I'm behind that graphic.
The 4-letter S word.
Yeah, 4-letter S word. Is it? Oh, yeah, you can see it. It's snowing. Oh, man.
Oh, man.
It's just never going to end.
Yeah, swiper, stop swiping.
And if we can stick with this shot, look at how much they had to push to the inside here
Oh,
from
yeah.
plow to plow on the inside. You can see how much snow we had.
Yeah, it's absolutely scary. I was saying to you last night, you walked out and it didn't seem like
I
it was
know.
coming down hard. You know what I mean? And then you walk out and it's like, whoa, it's right up to your shins.
Yeah, maintenance crew, job well done to have the track ready to go here for tonight. It's the opener coming up next. We'll get you all set for race number 1 on a Monday coming up shortly here on Woodbine Racing Live.